that is the case, and you want more spies, what do? You go to the Technology tab. So the Technology tab does one of two things. One, it affects your diplomacy number, your espionage number, your officer number, or your research number, which is all this right here, right? So espionage tab here. So basically you have a total, looks like 15 points total right now of leadership. And that's influenced by one, your research. So maybe you have technology that increases your leadership capabilities. Maybe you have a political leader who increases your leadership modifier. Or maybe you have one of these that increases your leadership modifier. Let's see here. Do we have any ones right now? No, we don't. But maybe you have some there, right? And then out of those 15, you have to distribute them accordingly. So here we have 1.88 diplomacy points being included in here every day. And depending on whether we're influencing another country or doing something that would be a constant hit on our diplomacy, we should have a constant flow of diplomacy points coming in. Also, I forgot to mention that, so when you try and influence another country, it uses up so many influence points per day that you're influencing that other country. Also, you know, if you try a coup in that other country, that'll use up a boatload of diplomacy points. Coups can be effective. They're very hard to pull off, but they can be effective. If you have a sufficient number of spies in that other country, you've been influencing their political party for a certain period of time, so they're kind of aligned with you, those sort of things. But that kind of costs diplomacy points as well. And then the officer thing here, same thing, right? You're getting 16.7 officers a day. That goes into your total percentage pool. And then your espionage, which again, like, this is how many spies you're getting per day. I tend to go pretty research heavy, so I may take, you know, like basically 10 out of my 15 and use that, for example. And then for my espionage, maybe go with that. My diplomacy is Japan. You don't really use too many diplomacy points early on because you're not in an alliance at all, so maybe you don't have to hold that. And then, you know, I'd probably want to put more in my officers, but right now, just as demonstration, this is maybe how it might look, okay? And then finally, the research tab. Here you go. This is all the research stuff. There is a ton. Don't let it overwhelm you. Just think of it in terms of different segments of your empire or your industrialized country. First, you have your national stuff. So really the stuff that affects, you know, just kind of, I want to say like an umbrella effect on your empire. Whether it's, you know, industry, so getting more IC here, for example. You can research for that. And the great thing that I love about Hearts of Iron is, yeah, there's an absolute ton of different things you can do, but if you just click it, it'll tell you what it does. So, for example, basic education investment, leadership plus 12%. So if we were to start researching that, which would be right here, it'll tell us it'll be done in October 24th, 1936, based on the priority that it's currently listed. And what that means is that once that's done, this 15 number will go up 15%. So whatever 15% of 15 is what our new leadership number will be. So that's under nation. Industry, same thing, right? So say supply production plus 80%. So that means this number right here will go up 80%. Technology. So as you can see, radar, great. So one of the things I do want to point out though is notice here the dates. That basically means that if you try and research these before the year that's listed, you're going to suffer a penalty. And the more years earlier you try and produce it than is allowed, the larger the penalty you suffer. The rule of thumb for me is I either do on the year, or in the event that it's a very, very important technology to me, I will only do it 1 year prior. So 1938, the soonest I would start researching this is 37. And I would only do that if it was a technology that I really, really wanted to have sooner rather than later. So one good example is pack artillery. So we have it here, but I want to say in like vanilla and then maybe even some of the older Black Ice, 1936 Japan did not have pack artillery. Pack artillery is very, very important for the Japanese, as I will explain in the combat section of this tutorial. If I didn't have that and it was 1938 was the earliest I can get it, 1937 is when I'd start researching that sucker, right? The flip side is also true. If you're researching something in 1936 that is a 1918 technology, that's going to research a lot quicker than a 1936 technology would. So, let's just do here as an illustration. Notice this says, I wish that would go away. So notice on the ATAA, there's a number 3 there. That basically means it's the difficulty with which your country has in researching that technology. You'll notice that the Germans, they're really good at researching tank technology. The Germans, not so good. Or the Japanese, not so good. So as you'll see here, there's a 4, there's a red here for a 6, that red 6. Yellows, that basically means it's going to take us longer to research those, even if we start researching them in 1940. So right here, the heavy AA, even though it's a 1936 technology and this one's a 1918, the heavy AA is going to research a little bit faster because it has that green 2 instead of the anti-air or anti-tank, anti-air ammo types, which has a 3. But notice here, the 1918 is going to be done in September, whereas this heavy AA is going to be done in 36. All right. So another rule of thumb is that we're researching a 1918 technology with this here. All right. So it's going to take us probably a couple of research texts to get it up to modern times. Additionally, notice in the anti-tank, anti-AA icon, there is a green, blue, and then green little icons in there. Those are down here. See these down here? Basically, there's ways for you to research these up so that you're actually more efficient with researching these sort of things. So right now we have a 3 in artillery theory. We have a 3 in artillery practical. And then we have, where's the other one? Where's the other one? Anyways, so the point being, right, is that these are going to tell you also, here we go, 5. 5 in Grand Battle Plan Doctrine. So that influences how quickly I'm going to research this tab as well. So the point on that is you're going to want to research those up, right, whenever practical. So that's under, so I want to talk, that's, once it's under doctrines. So land doctrine, notice here, see these right here? That's how we would if we level that up, not only would that increase our organization of special artillery, special, recon artillery, recon, all that stuff, but it also speeds up this, increases these numbers down here, which in turn speeds up these right here. All right, so that's why I love this game, because it's not just a matter of just researching stuff, right? It actually takes planning. There's some strategy even to the researching, and you can make your life a lot more difficult or a lot easier if you go about trying to research this stuff down here along with your actual stuff that you're going to be using on the battlefield. Carriers, for example. Notice the carriers, 12. So in 1944, when we start making carrier flight deck optimization, it's going to take us a long time, because not only do we have to wait till at least 1943. It's also a 12, which means it's going to take a very long time. I want to say a red 12 is the highest you're going to see in terms of the delay. I want to say, where's the nukes? I'll show you the nuke stuff really quick. Secret. Not too bad, right? But all these are 10s right here. 12, and so forth. So, kind of get the point, right? If you want to build, for example, infantry, so assault guns or infantry support tanks, notice here, this is going to tell you kind of how to do that. So here first, in order to build this, we need these. So notice right here. And this will even tell you what you need to build it. So also notice down here, again, I love the pop-ups, right? It tells you. But notice if we want to build a medium velocity gun or a high velocity gun, we've got to build a small caliber tank gun first. And then we would build these. Notice here, have the country flag gasoline AFV engines. So that it's going to tell you essentially what you need in order to get there. So if we want prototypes, if we want to build let's go tanks. I think we're already here before, right? Armor 2. And say we want to build, advanced tank optics. That's going to tell you right there, right? We need ranged finding equipment, rare material, all that stuff before we can even do it. And we need at least 3. So we need ranged finding equipment and artillery at least 3. So what does that mean? Ranged artillery? Let's go find that. Is that ranged artillery? I think so. That's ranged finding equipment. Like I'm like sneaking down a rabbit hole trying to find stuff. I don't even know what I'm talking about. Anyways, so you would basically go find the range finding. Yeah, that's right. I was at the right one. There we go. Okay, good. So this is only at. I want to say this is at. This will research to 3. So currently it's 2. You'd research it to 3, I believe, and then that would get to you're going to research to 3, and that would knock off one of the check marks there that you would need. So then you just need the other 3 there to build it, and then it tells you there, you know, all the different bonuses that you would receive. And one of the things too I like about the research stuff is a lot of times you don't just get a flat-out bonus. There's also some negatives too, whether it's a negative in the increased cost, negative in terms of maybe it makes your tank slower, or your ship slower. So it's very realistic in that sense too. Special forces, prototypes, all this stuff. I don't want to belabor this too much. You can kind of go through all these yourself. But really the takeaways that I want you to know about are really one, the bottom tab there, right, that we were talking about down here. This right here, the doctrines. Understanding kind of the method that the research tab works. So again, the number here is going to tell you the speed with which your country can research it. This is going to tell you what down here, what strength that is and what it's going to require. The year is going to tell you the research year that it's going to get it. So if I were to research this now, I'd suffer some penalty because I'm doing it in 36 and not 37. But once it's done, it'd be a 1937 researched item that I could use in 1936. Or perhaps right at the beginning of 37. Finally, last and foremost about the technology tab, another important thing to note is that if I were, for example, to go to infantry and upgrade small arms, so July, come August 1, for example, I would have to upgrade beyond the 73 here because my infantry units are not going to automatically get the small arms upgrade. I have to actually go into the production tab and upgrade them. And how would I do that? Say I knew I was going to use this guy, and I really want to make sure that he's fully upgraded before I go into combat. How would I do that? You would go and prioritize his upgrades. Alright? And then you can turn off, these are all the different options, but notice here for now that this is what you would get to prioritize upgrades. That means he would get upgraded before anybody else. And you know, you can prioritize as many units as you want, allocate to them. Again, please, if you haven't already, like these videos, subscribe. Let me know what you would like different. Let me know what you can do better. And if you have any questions about the game or anything like that, please put it in the comments. And I really appreciate your time. And thank you so much for watching.